I'm just thinking to a lot of people will have the experience where they have something, a big occasion coming up. It might be a speech. I did a speech recently at work. It was
Yeah,
horrible.
yeah,
Total, panic before it, anxious, couldn't breathe, shallow breaths. Or it might be an interview that people are going for. How would you suggest is the best breath work to calm yourself before one of these big moments?
yeah. I think that's really interesting. Um, I really relate. I had to do a talk about 2 weeks ago to about 600 people
Oh my
um,
God.
on of a company. Um, and for the first time in a very long time, really felt everything that you're saying, the beating heart, the fast breath. And it all happened in the kind of 10 minutes before
Yeah.
the session. Um, so the first thing I would say is, we fall to the level of our training very often. We do not necessarily rising to the occasion. We fall to the level of our training, and so if I work with athletes or sports people, quite often I'm not trying to change. If they're saying, "Oh, this Saturday I've got a really big match or competition," um, I'm not all of a sudden say, "Let's change everything about the way that you breathe,"
Hmm.
because this is the most efficient way. The work needs to be done beforehand. It needs to be done almost to set. I said earlier, the nervous system learns through experience, and in the same way that we can use that as a positive or a negative, you can start to try to create those neural pathways in the 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and 10 weeks before the event, the big talk, the the experience, let's say, or the event where you're pretty sure you're going to get triggered, and uh, that in itself is extremely powerful because it gives you the agency and the confidence that whenever you feel that state start to come, the beating heart, all the other things, um, that you can manage it. So, for instance, I love a very simple breath work called flow breathing for these moments. Um, and this is simply, you can use different ratios. I usually use inhaling for 4 seconds and exhaling for 6 seconds. And it's just simply inhale, 2, 3, 4, and exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And really, the exhale helps to slow the heart. Of course, whenever you're in a very stressful position or a stressful moment, what happens to the heart rate? It increases and the respiratory rate increases. So if you can try to hit that in for 4, out for 6, this is a 10-second breath cycle. You're over 1 minute, say you do that, that's, 6 breaths over 1 minute. The reality is that if you just weren't doing anything, you probably have breathed upwards of 16, 17 breaths in that minute. That reinforces the state of anxiety. That's, if we kind of go back to hyperventilation, that's, would be termed as chronic hyperventilation. In, out. This has that whole impact of carbon dioxide leaving the body, a slowing of the blood circulation, going offline of the prefrontal cortex. So if you have all this information, you're like, actually, I'm aware of my beating heart. I'm aware of my breath speeding up. I'm gonna deliberately slow myself down for 2 minutes. In for 4, out for 6. That's like 12 breaths. It's not a lot. If I do that, then what happens? The veins, arteries, capillaries, they stay open. The blood circulation continues to go quite nice. Prefrontal cortex stays online. My rationality is much better than, oh my goodness, I'm going to trip up whenever I go on stage, or I'm going to
Yeah.
lose all my words, and all that kind of self talk that doesn't help. So, I can remember doing that just for 2 minutes, and just breathing and using all the tools that I know work for me whenever I'm sitting there at 6:30 a.m. on my mat before the wee man gets up and before my house becomes a little bit more busy. Um, so this kind of state anchoring of like, that's my safety and that's my calm, then I start to try to use it in the moment. Because of course we need to practice. We need to firstly create safety in a very, let's say, quiet, undisturbed, safe space. But in time, you want to start to practice whenever you are on the subway or or you are on the plane or you are in a board meeting. Um, and actually, you know that you have to, you know that someone said something and maybe they're provoking you with their line of inquiry, or they're asking you a very direct question which you kind of feel slightly offended by, and it triggers something. It's in those moments that we can practice it in the moment. You know, you can breathe in for 4 and out for 6. No one still knows what you're doing. It's something that can be done very much while you're talking to someone. But all the while, it's kind of, it's like not letting the cup overfill with stress or emotion, and it's kind of keeping yourself down so that you can respond from a place of from your center, or from clarity, or without emotion. And that would be that would be my um I suppose my invitation, or proposal to people, to start to try to make a simple practice, a 2-minute practice that feels good for them. And if 4, 6 feels too long, just reduce it to 3, 5, in for 3 and out for 5. Because of course, sometimes for people, whenever you're about to go in something, like breathing out for 6 seconds might feel too long. And
Yeah.
that creates more breathlessness, and that creates more anxiety. So you can even go down to inhale for 2 and out for 4. My point really is, just make that exhale a little bit longer, just to the give your heart the chance to slow down a little bit. The exhale in your body literally inhibits the activation of sympathetic response. The inhale activates it. So, the more that you inhale, the more you're activating your sympathetic response. That's your fight or flight. The more that you exhale, the more that you're stopping that activation of the sympathetic response. So, these are all known as, somatic um, ways of working with you with the situation from a somatic point of view, or a bottom up point of view. So this is bottom up, is whenever you're using the body. This can be, tapping. Why do we tap in and around here? So vagus nerve is coming down through the kind of both sides of the neck, and down through and connecting into all your um, vital organs. Vagus coming from I think it's Latin, vague or meandering. It meanders through the body, makes its way through the body, and this vagus nerve is fascinating because it makes up 75% of your parasympathetic state, your rest and digest state. So simply just tapping stimulates the vagus nerve, which again is this idea of creating safety within your nervous system. So your body's saying, okay, well, he's tapping. He's like, I'm getting a good signal to say that it's okay. Of course, humming is one of the best ways to stimulate it. You hum, you feel a vibration that goes down in through the body. These are bottom up ways of managing stress, let's say, before you go on stage or before you go and do the thing. And then, of course, there's top down management. Top down management is, no, I'm not going to fall over. Like, I know my stuff. I'm calm. But I would say that the most effective in these moments is bottom up, because in the moment of stress, your prefrontal cortex, as we said, is offline. So reasoning and logic isn't always the easiest thing. Don't get me wrong, like self affirmation, mantra, positive thinking is really powerful, and visualization so powerful. But kind of think about it as a bottom up, down approach, meshing, so that
Mhm.
both you're kind of attacking it from both sides.
If you guys enjoyed that clip, please do me a huge favor before you go and head over to our Into the Mind podcast official page, where we have the raw, uncut Into the Mind podcast, and hit that subscribe button. And the more subscribers we get, the more incredible guests we can get on the show. I really appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you so much. And I'll see you all real soon.